look at this, I now qualify as a fully fledged adventure bikeist, a motorcycle adventureist, because I've now got the map. I do know I know where we are around here, because I used to do this route trucking and stuff. However, because I got this with the new tank bag, which I purchased off Gary, I'll check, but he now subscribes and comments here and there. So here's your tank bag, Gary, doing stuff abroad. So because it came with this, I thought I'm going to do some old school and buy a map. Wookie's going to be well chuffed. I think I've mentioned this. Wookie's going to be so proud of me. An actual map. So I just thought, as soon as it comes with this, I want a map in there. It makes it nice and more awkward when I'm at peages to get me card out and that, so that'll be good. Extra faff. And on the subject of faff, Paul has installed his 360, but we can't get it to power up. I said to him, welcome to the world of faffness, because there's always some issue that people don't see behind the scenes. There's always something doesn't work. So basically this lead has got power to it, but we think this light should be on and it isn't when it's charging. There's a little battery in there, and he's got some, but they're at home. So we're just going to leave it for an hour or so and see if it takes some charge, innit? And see what happens. Oh, I'll just point out, he's one of the lucky guys to have a helmet head sticker. He shot me as well a minute ago. Hey? I thought you broke it then. No, I didn't do it this time. He shot me a minute ago, nearly had a heart attack. He turned it off and it backfired. Right. So we have 471 miles. What I've done on the sat nav is I've deleted, or I've cancelled the route. And as I said yesterday, I don't know if it'll be in this video, I'm struggling with it a little bit because I can't seem to, you know, like if you plot a route in a sat nav and you can like avoid motorways or avoid toll roads and all this, you can avoid places and you can set it to a windy route, fastest route and all this. But what it does, say you've put a route in on, and I've got it on fastest route. If you get off the motorway and go down the national roads, yesterday it was always trying to take me back. It was a nightmare. And I think it might be because I had the whole route plotted from my house all the way. I think it was trying to. So what I've done now is I've scrapped all that and I've just done the destination from here. So right, I just had a slight camera issue then. I had to do the old GoPro, take the battery out, put it back in again thing. Because I love that when you've just got your gloves on, you're literally just about to pull one off. And there's nothing worse than just about to pull one off and having a camera incident. Right then, let's actually do some riding. And we're off. How exciting. I'm a bit undone here. Right then, so 471 miles. I'm hoping I have better success with the satellite navigation unit today. Because they're busy. It's a big junction, isn't it? All going on there. Right, so I think that's saying that we will get there. Obviously we won't, but we'd get there at 20 minutes past 4. It's now 9:42. It is 14 degrees and I'm happy with that. It's not doing that thing from the sky, so that's awesome. See, this is the thing that I've said many times, it's that finding that balance of not sweating your tits off and not raining, you know. You know, you don't want to be riding at like 30 odd degrees because it's just too much, because you want to be prepared for the slide, not the ride. But when it's like that sort of temperature, you can't. You end up riding in a t-shirt, and then it's only a matter of time, obviously, hopefully not, but I've only ever had 2 accidents, and they were both bad. Oh no, I haven't. I've had 3. I've had 1. Oh no, I haven't. I've had 4. Oh, hang on, this could go on, couldn't it? Sorry, I had to cough. Yeah, I had 1 accident on my DT50M. Some of you guys will know what a DT50M is. I was going past a load of, there was a traffic jam, and I thought, I sod this, I was going to be late for work, so I went out, you know, passing it all, and a Ford Capri decided I'm not sitting in this, and he'd doing a 3-point turn in the road, didn't see me, kebab boom, have it. And my mate Derek, best painter in the world ever, he was on his way to work, stopped in the shop to go and get some cigarettes, because you can't call them fags, and the guy said, oh, there was a bad accident out there, motorbike accident this morning. Yeah, the guy came off, he went down, and he stayed down, and then later on he found out it was me. Anyway, so that was the first one. The second one, I was on my RD50, and in Bristol, up by Clifton Suspension Bridge, and I was stopped in the road waiting to turn right. A car in front of me went, because somebody coming the other way flashed them to let them go, so I went as well, but they didn't wait for me, and they set off, and basically I had a head on, and I went over the bonnet, over the roof. Yeah, Mark 1 Fiesta, if I remember rightly. So yeah, I had some on that one. And then the worst one I had is why I've now got a metal arm, pretty much. I took my test because I always wanted a ZXR 750 H1 or H2. Some of you guys know that I've got a Kawasaki collection involving some of those now, but anyway, I was driving along in a Mark IV Cortina one day, and I saw a ZXR 750 H1 or H2 at the side of the road in Kingswood in Bristol, and I thought, oh my god, look at that, gotta have one of them in my life. Anyway, took my test, bought one, long story, ended up hour and 20 minutes later I was in Uphill Ward in Weston-super-Mare Hospital. Yeah, that went very wrong, but anyway, as I was saying, see, look how I go off on a tangent. Is it a tangent? Go off telling a story. I'll shut up now. I shall catch up with you guys in a while. Actually, no, I will just say something. I will have already thanked the relevant people in a video before this one, before you see this. Hang on, I'm going to cough. I'm going to start again. I had to concentrate and actually look at my map a little bit. Right, I got this thing, buy me a coffee. It's like a tip thing. It's basically, obviously nobody has to do it. Of course, the videos that I make, I don't do it for any financial reward. Obviously, I'm not going to lie, that obviously would be great. I mean, the adverts, I never really wanted to have adverts because I think it's a bit of a pain for people watching it, but I did it in the end because I'm hoping it helps. I mean, I've only been paid out once, because you have to wait till it builds up to £60, and I've had that once. But you know, it's a little something, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It helps. However, the buy me a coffee thing, I can't believe how what I did, I set up a separate bank account just for my YouTube money. So I haven't touched it yet, but because you guys have been buying me a coffee, yesterday something outrageous happened. Somebody, I will have already thanked him, and when I look, I'll mention his name later, because I can't remember now, because it was silly o'clock this morning by the time I eventually logged in, because it wouldn't let me in, because I thought it must be a mistake. But somebody yesterday bought me 25 coffees. Now that's £50 of that person's hard-earned money. And the way that the world has gone mental lately with all the utility bills, you know, the gas, electric, all that nonsense, I can't actually believe, and this is going to sound like I'm talking absolute bollocks, but I'm not. When I realised last night that that was legit, somebody had actually spent 50 quid on, you know, this numpty just making nonsense on a YouTube channel, I got a little bit emotional. I mean, people sometimes have been spending a tenner, and that's mental, you know, because it starts at basically one coffee is 2 quid, and you know, every little helps, said the old lady as she pissed in the sea. So that's great, you know, people just putting 2 quid in, because it all mounts up, and in the month, you know, that's like, I don't know, maybe a tank of fuel, which helps towards obviously doing all this crap. Now part of me, when I saw other people doing this, I thought, well, why should other people pay towards you having a holiday? But I guess if I think of like the channels that I watch, which to be totally honest is quite rare because I'm always video editing, but when I do get to watch people, I really enjoy watching it. So I guess maybe you guys must be enjoying watching all this crap that I'm doing, and you think, fair play Jim, I'm going to help him out a little bit. And it does help, you know, it is going to be helping me keeping doing this basically. But like I say, I know I'm waffling here, but I was lying in bed last night in the hotel room, and I thought, oh my god, 2 people yesterday bought me coffees. One guy was a tenner, and like I say, that's mental, a tenner. I know it's only a tenner, but why should somebody spend £10 of their own money to me? So that's mental in itself. But 50 quid, that's, I can't believe it. So yesterday I got 60 quid. That's 2 tanks of fuel. You know what I mean? All this camera stuff is thousands of pounds. The drone, all this stuff. You know, I mean, I just booked some flights to Portugal for the Pink My Bike thing, which I will be going into later. But anyway, I'm going to shut up now. But basically, I just wanted to mention how grateful I am for not just the financial reward from people, but the comments as well, you know. I always saw the comments as my reward, because I really love sitting there reading all the comments, and that's enough. So don't think that I'm saying this because I want more people to get involved in the Buy Me a Coffee. I don't. Nobody has to do anything at all apart from crack open a beer or get a Lapsang Souchong on the go. Lapsang Souchong sang. That's a nice cup of tea, that. It's like the blend of a melted welly and some burning polystyrene, gently smoked over some charcoal. It's nice. Or of course a Lady Grey, or a beer, and just sit there and enjoy the nonsense. But anyway, I'm going to shut up now because I waffled on a bit. But I love you guys. Right, I'll check in with you soon. I'll try next scene, I'll try not to waffle on so much, because that's probably half the video of me talking shit. But it's not shit, I'm just having a bit of a gush. I'm having a bit of a gush all over you, because you've touched me. Oh, motorway, we don't want to go on a motorway. Right, I'll catch you in a bit, guys. I'm going to tell you a story. It's not a happy story, unfortunately, and if the audio turns out to be not as great, because it is very windy here at the minute, but I need to tell the story now while it's relevant. Right, I'll just tell the story. Right, this is the National 10, which runs down from Poitiers to, it goes through Angoulême, and it goes to Bordeaux, down through here. Right, now here is the A10, if you can see that. That's the A10, the motorway, and this is the National 10, and we're on the National 10, right? Let's go back, I think 1994. I'm telling you this story because if you've been watching some of my stuff, you will know, if you remember me saying that my mum told me to write a book in the 90s because of my travels abroad driving a truck, and I was coming home telling my mum the stories after doing 4 to 6 weeks away, and she said, you've got to write a book, this is all unbelievable. And it's all true. I'm really anal about it being true, so it's not made up, although some of it you will think it is, but it's not. If you watch the European series where me and Wookie and Alex went to Farkasy Bike Week and Croatia, on 0.5, episode 0.5, the very first episode of that series, I did tell a story on there about immigrants in my trailer. But anyway, every now and then I'm going to throw in a story, so here we go. Like I say, it's not a happy one, unfortunately, but it is true. A lot of people wanted this story, and now you're thinking, now what's he on about? But this is true, okay? In the UK years ago, we used to have a TV program in the mornings called oh my god, The Big Breakfast, I think it was called. So there was The Big Breakfast. Anyway, let me get back to the story. Right, 1994, I think. My dad, we used to do this route a lot, right, back in the day, down to Spain. And we'd either go the National 10 or the A10. My dad on this particular case was on the A10, right? Now my dad was pulling a hired trailer, if I remember rightly, and he was driving down the A10, everything is normal, and then all of a sudden my dad had a blowout on the trailer. He pulled over onto the hard shoulder, and within seconds the grease in the hub, in the wheel, it caught fire. Next thing, the whole wheel and tyre is on fire. My dad said it all happened literally so fast. Within a few seconds, or minutes I guess, the whole trailer, the whole fridge, like those, the whole fridge was on fire. All the back end of the trailer was on fire. My dad at the time had a new Scania, but even if it wasn't new, you know, you don't want that to go as well. So my dad dropped the trailer and pulled the Scania, the tractor unit, out from under the trailer. This is after he tried to put it out with a fire extinguisher, by the way, but my dad said it did absolutely nothing. It made no difference whatsoever. It was night time, I think. So anyway, the trailers are light. My dad dropped the trailer, moved the tractor unit, the Scania up the hard shoulder a little bit out of the way. My dad is, I can't honestly remember if we had mobile phones then or not. I can't remember, but anyway, then what happens, a French tanker, a fuel tanker, the smoke now is all bellowing across the road, right, because the trailer's on fire. A petrol tank, well, a fuel tanker, my dad said, came through the smoke and then hit the central reservation and just stayed there. And my dad's words was, what the hell, what you doing? So my dad was running over whether to move the truck himself or see what the guy was doing, you know, what's happened. Is he passed out, fell asleep? What's going on? So my dad was literally running over to the truck, and as my dad was running over to the French tanker that was in the central reservation, all of a sudden there was this horrific noise, and the whole thing came up in the air off the ground, my dad said, and my dad said it was like it wasn't real. This Arctic trailer, petrol tanker, fuel tanker, in the air, right, one of them, in the air, right, and unfortunately, I'm sorry if it's windy, unfortunately, a Dutch double man team, so 2 drivers in a Dutch lorry, had hit the tanker, and yeah, that was that, end of, instantly, apparently. A big fireball, it's all getting out of hand, and then my dad said he had no choice but to scrabble up through the embankment, which was all bramble bushes. My dad got up there on the embankment, out the way of it all. Sorry. And there was nothing he could do. And it was just one explosion after another, as all these cars just piled into it all. And my dad said it was the worst thing that had ever happened in his life. And it was just one explosion after another. And it turned out to be the worst accident France had had for 11 years, and 17 people lost their lives in that accident. So the reason I mentioned the big breakfast is, like I say, it was like a good morning breakfast program. I turned up at my parents' house one day in my car, and the big breakfasts were there. Sky News, HTV West, all these news reporters were all at my parents' house. My dad was helping the police with their inquiries, as they put it, in France, obviously. Now, because my dad spoke, he would argue that he didn't speak fluent French, but he did, pretty much. So my dad's in the police station in France, and because he understood everything, people were coming in a panic, you know, like wives of their, you know, wives of husbands, and the other way around, you know, partners of people that hadn't got home yet, that would have been travelling on that road at that time. So my dad could hear all these conversations of people coming in, you know, hoping that their partner wasn't involved in this horrific accident. And after the people had gone, my dad was listening to the police officers saying, oh dear, that's that one. And yeah, so my dad was like almost behind the scenes as well, hearing, you know, the bad, really bad stuff, you know. Anyway, it turned out that apparently this French fuel tanker that had gone through the smoke and stopped in the central reservation, he'd gone over his hours on his tacho. I don't know how they would have known that, because if it all caught fire, it would have, I guess it would have gone. But anyway, this is what happened, what they said. The French tanker driver had fallen asleep I mean, this is what they said. So that was that. My dad came home. My dad was off work for 6 months. Said he was never going back. Didn't want to drive a truck again. He'd had enough. So he basically stayed at home for 6 months. But he did go back. The very first trip he went on, he got to Dover and rung up our boss and said, I'm done. I want to go home. I can't do it. I want to go home. And apparently my boss, well, our boss, just said, get on with it, and put the phone down. And my dad did, and then he carried on for years. I've never told that story. I've told it to some of my close friends. But at the time, me and my mum were talking about it at home, and this is true. Whether you believe this or not, this happened. Okay, in the paper, I can't remember which paper, but one of the newspapers, my mum was telling me and my girlfriend at the time about all the things that had happened to my dad over the years. A bad earthquake that he was in I think Italy once, a ferry that he was on caught fire, all sorts of little stories, okay? And to the exact detail that my mum, I knew them anyway, but my mum was saying it to me and my girlfriend at the time. But every detail that my mum was going into about all these little incidents that happened to my dad over the years was in the paper, as if my mum was talking directly to a reporter, but my mum never spoke to anybody. So we think, I guess some of you people watching this on the internet will know how this can happen, but we think that one of the vans, because they were outside, these vans and cars from all these TV, news places, we think one of them must have had, I don't know, one of them directional hearing devices of some description, and they were listening in on what my mum was saying. It's the only thing we can think of, but yeah, the reason I'm saying this story now is because I didn't want to go that way anyway, because I want to, this is a good road coming down the national rather than the motorway. But it just made me think about it, because I thought to myself, am I going to pass where it happened? No, I'm not, because I'm on the national, not the motorway. Now, on the motorway, where it happened, if I remember rightly, it's near the excuse me, it's near the turn-off for La Rochelle, and if I remember rightly, there's a monument there now. Well, it's been there for years, and I think I have seen it. So yeah, there's a monument there, because of the tragic event that happened. So yeah, there's that story for you, that all the news people wanted from either me or my mum back in 1994 that I've never really spoke to many people about. Apart from, there is a forum on the internet for lorry drivers. It's called TruckNet. I haven't been on it for years, but basically somebody was on there once saying about my dad, and saying that he caused the accident, and telling all sorts of crap about it, all sorts of stuff that wasn't the case at all. I mean, one of the things that was said was that my dad had been driving for X amount of time and all this nonsense, but that's absolute rubbish, because at that point, the company that my dad worked for, I'd left there at this point. They had to run 100% legal, because they'd been known to not do in the past. It was a well-known company, and everyone knew how they ran, but it all changed. So because the name of the company was mentioned and lots of lorry drivers knew the company, they all said, oh well, yeah, X, Y and Z, you know, because they never stop, they never use the curtains, they never go to sleep. But things changed for that firm and everybody had to run 100% legal. So that wasn't the case at all. So and there was also a load of other crap that they'd said on there which wasn't true. So yeah, so that's that story for you guys. I told you it wasn't a very good one, very sad. That's that. Thought I'd share that one with you guys. That's today's little story for you. Next one I'll make sure it's a happy one, okay? But all true. I might Google that when I get home actually and see if there's anything on Google about it. I've never done that. But yeah, I reckon 1994. Right. Love you. I purchased something. I couldn't help it. She's not like gothic, which I would have liked, but who doesn't like a nurse? Know what I'm saying? So she's going to go there. That's where she's going. She's going to go right there like that. That's where she's going. There we go. There we go. Nice. Navigating this bit is fun. I actually remember doing this in the truck and I loved it. But yeah, on a motorbike this can be a little bit entertaining. This is Bordeaux. Yeah, I can't imagine I can't imagine Alan being that excited if he came through this bit. I mean, this bit now isn't so bad. I couldn't turn the camera on because a minute ago because it was all a bit of a hoo-ha going on. There was everybody cutting everybody up everywhere. It was great. Little update for you. We just stopped and had another monster triple shot coffee thing, and Paul had a text message from the place where we're staying. I didn't have one. Why didn't I have one? Anyway, asking what time we're going to be there because they don't live there. They don't live on site, so to speak, which leads me to think, is this someone's house? So yeah, what time we're going to be there? Latest check-in is 8 o'clock, it says on the booking.com. Anyway, my sat nav is saying 10 to 8, so Paul's told him we should be there by about 8:30. So now all of a sudden it's a little bit of a chase, which isn't ideal, but hey ho, whatever. And I'll tell you something else which is a little bit too much information for you, but as I said on my Facebook a minute ago, I'm just keeping it real. And you all signed up for this shit. Speaking of which, I just went for a petit cheval a minute ago, and I am used to French dunnies. However, you know, if it's not a spread axle, as me and my dad always used to call them, where it's just basically a hole in the floor and you just sort of stand above it and hope it doesn't land in your pants. If it's not one of them, It's a dunny, like a traditional dunny, but they just take the seat off or don't bother putting a seat on. Now, what's that about? I just do not understand that. So I goes in there, one of them, no seat, right? Okay, so I had to clean it first. Now I've got adventure boots on, right? My adventure boots, which doesn't allow my adventure trousers to go down far enough so that you can resume le position on le dunny to do what you got to do. So you can't, basically you crush your nuts because you can't open your legs enough, because your trousers are up by your knees or above your knees, stopping your legs spreading. So while you're trying to have a pony, you're squashing your nuts. Yeah, so there you go. The faff is real. It's all part of motorcycling. Now, I don't have many female subscribers. I think it's like 1% or 2% or something. So sorry about that. I do apologise. But there you go. There's a bit of detail you wouldn't have thought about unless I'd said. But blokes with adventure boots on and adventure trousers know exactly what I'm saying. Crush your nuts. I found a graveyard. Well, I think. Unless it's someone's house.